muted this whole time.
Were we muted the whole time? That's hilarious. It said Mike is muted up there too.
No worries.
Well, we got our guests on the show, but everybody, thank you for tuning in. We just kind of rambled on about nothing really important. But if you do,
that was funny.
Shit, dog. Now I'm all twisted. I don't even remember what we said.
It was something about Christmas trees.
Yeah, we got Christmas trees. The week was good. If you are just now tuning in here to us at the Gate-Keepers Podcast, we are the Gatekeepers. We talk about fence installation, tips, tricks, tools, techniques, everything from A to Z to get your fence straight, sturdy, strong, and right.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid right there.
Yeah, it was, man. It sounds like you've been like rehearsing it in the mirror.
Yeah, or I just said it like 2 seconds ago and then said it again. But we do have a special guest here with us, Mr. Zach. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people of the world.
Hey, everybody. I'm Zach Cordrey. We're down in South Carolina. We do agricultural fence installation. We are your one-stop shop for anything livestock or anything related to farm fence. We do it all. So we don't do a whole lot of residential, but we would like to get into it. That's how I met Billy.
Nice.
Reached out and asked some questions, and he's going to try and help us get into it. So
yeah, absolutely. So speaking of getting into it, tell me the story, because you briefly told it to me on the phone the first time we talked. Tell me your story of how you got into the fence world.
So I grew up in the Maryland, Delaware area. We moved out to a small farmette when I was 13, 14. Just started putting up little pastures out there for my personal horses. Didn't really do too much else with it until I was in my mid-20s. Fast forward, my wife and I are putting up a horse facility at our farm, and these guys came out to do some post pounding for us, and I saw their machine and I was like, that thing is really cool. It was a drop hammer on the back of a tractor. It was 2 Amish guys. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm gonna have one of those one day. And a couple years later, I bought my first one and we got into it. Just started doing some fencing for friends, family. And then what is it? We're 5 years into it now almost, and we're running a full scale operation down here in South Carolina. So
nice. So we generally do more residential fence than rural fencing. So we're kind of like the opposite sides of the spectrum here. Just like you were saying, you reached out to Billy about getting more into rural. Tell us a little bit about the day-to-day, getting into residential, but tell us a little bit about the day-to-day for your work with rural fencing. I can imagine it's probably a lot different than pulling up to a yard and, knocking out 50 panels or so. But you're using a lot bigger properties, but a lot bigger areas. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it can range. You have some days where you're like yesterday, we went out and we did 460 foot of woven wire, 2 braces, just straight stretch right along the road, and we were in and out within 4 hours.
Nice.
So the day to day is, getting to where we have our supplies and our equipment, and we load everything up, load the machine up, roll up there, get in there, talk to the property owner, and just start blasting out some fence. That's a typical day with a small job. Some days, we just got done a job up in Hendersonville, North Carolina, that was just over 2.5 miles of horse fence, rocky ground, lots of stuff, and we were on that job for just under 2 months.
Wow.
So one of those jobs is, there's a lot of logistics to get it going, but then once you get into it, you're on the fence line for a long time. So I think there was somewhere in the ballpark of 1,300 posts on that job. We spaced them out 12 feet, and we were running no climb wire, coated hot wire. But typical day for us is, we're just getting on the job site. We start pounding as fast as possible. And everybody knows their job. Everybody knows what to do, and we just roll. So we pride ourselves on, doing a lot of fence real fast with good quality. So
nice.
I like that. Nice. Now you keep mentioning pounding.
Yep.
When we pound posts, we're generally driving, 2.5 inch thick metal pipe with agricultural fence. It's a little different. Tell everybody about that. Like, what kind of posts are you pounding in? How does that process kind of start to finish with getting a post in the ground? What's your process like?
Yep. So, and that varies as well too. You got, different ground conditions. Where I come from in Maryland, if you weren't pounding 150 to 175 posts a day with your, they're hydraulic drivers basically. So my driver, actually, I'm repping it right here. I got Iron Force. This is the post driver.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
So, we typically, in good ground conditions, you're putting that nitrogen hydraulic driver on that post. You're leveling it up, and you can have it in the ground. Sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 3 minutes. But you're basically just pounding it straight into the ground. We don't put points on them. We are we're doing probably, in good ground conditions, we're doing 80 to 120 down here in South Carolina a day. And it's just that you're literally pounding the post straight into the ground. No concrete, no nothing. It basically just expands the dirt around it, and it's extremely tight when you put it in. And we usually pound them 3.5 to 4 foot. So
yeah, because that's a lot different than our hollow metal pipe where the dirt just gets shoved up inside of it.
Yeah. So it doesn't quite move everything out of the way, which would then pack it around it tighter. So ours, we go upwards of 6 feet deep for some of them. Because the pipe doesn't really move too much out of the way.
Right.
We're also working with a little gas pounder, like little 50 cc.
Yeah.
Not the same equipment that you're using.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the big boy pounders.
Yep. And we just finished up a job in Aiken down there where it's more sandy soil. And that was 15 seconds a post. It wasn't even, most of the time was just spent making sure it went into the ground straight because it was going so fast. But we're on a job right now where it's about a minute per post is what we're looking at. So
nice. What's your most popular style of ag fence to install? Is it like wire, 4-board Kentucky? Like,
we love 4-board. That's probably our favorite to install.
Okay.
If it's not 4-board, we like getting on some of the larger production jobs where it's just a couple miles of woven wire, and you're just T-post every 15 foot, wood post spaced every 90. So you're kind of just doing those on intervals where you can, and you can just fly. We've done one job we did a little over 1.5 miles in a week. Of that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of fence.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's a lot of fence, man. That's cool.
Yeah. So those are our two favorite. But
so as we mentioned before, like we have almost zero experience in like true ag fencing. So get into a little bit of like the knot tying and all that stuff, because I see a bunch of pictures on Facebook and I'm highly intrigued. Like, how actually like difficult is doing all that? Like whenever you're tying off like high tensile wire and stuff.
It's extremely difficult. Now I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I'm still not great at it. Not proud of it, but my fence building skills up in Maryland were not nearly what they were when I or not what they are now. I've had a lot of guys down here that have really shown me the ropes as far as that stuff. Tying wire is not very popular where I came from. There's a lot of hard stapling. There's a lot of just getting it as tight as you can, maybe wrapping it around the post a little bit, but that's where I came from. And now I work with a guy named David Jordan, and he is fantastic at tying knots. But yeah, it's tough. It's definitely an art. You have to take your time. Like I said, I'm still learning it.
Right.
In the day-to-day operation, I'm more of layout and pounding posts, and David, he does a lot of the stuff with wire. We also have a guy named Cody Wynn who works with us, and he's fantastic at tying wire as well.
Nice.
Yep.
Now, are you running one crew, multiple crews? How's that?
We run one crew right now. That's what we're doing. We have 4 guys: David, Cody, and then another guy named Alex that works with us.
Nice.
Yep.
Now, when you're doing, I can imagine when you're doing like, mile of fence or so, there's a lot of chaos with it because it's a lot of fence that has to go out. From the time you get there to the time you're done, kind of how do you work out uh, who does what and who goes where? What's your kind of process on keeping everything without like anybody butting in anybody else or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to just everybody knowing what's going on. Um, we get there and we know that I'm getting the first machine ready to start driving the post. David, he's going to go ahead of me and he's going to take all the supplies. He's going to mark out corners, turns, anything like that, and he'll get those posts ready to pound. I'm basically coming behind him. As soon as we get those done, we start marking out, laying out, getting everything ready to roll around the fence line. As soon as we get going, as soon as we have a line done or a couple lines done, we got somebody that comes behind us and builds braces, getting ready for wire to be tied on. And then by that point, we're hoping that we've reached the end of pounding posts, and a couple of us start going along, and one person's already started hooking up stretcher bars along one run, and we just kind of flow around the fence line like that. So
Nice.
right now we're running a skid loader that does not have a remote. So me and Alex pound the posts, and Cody and David do the other stuff to start with. And then as soon as Alex is out of that loader, he's helping with something. I'm helping with something. But we're hoping to get to the point where we have a remote for that, and
Yeah.
it'd just be a one man show with pound and post. But they're a little pricey, so we're
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
they are.
trying
They
to
are
move
very
move towards
pricey.
that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
So what?
focusing
Most
on making sure
expensive
that
RC
everything else is
car.
paid off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So what skid loader and pounder setup are you using for all of this?
We have two Kubota SBL 75 twos,
Okay.
and then I use the Iron Force MS 5000 post pounder, and that's got a 1,000 pound nitrogen head from Montana on it, and it's
Okay.
a driver that can basically slew around 130 degrees. You can pound post straight in front of you, or you can turn it to the side, and you can run down a fence line, and you can do your best to get that fence line as arrow straight as possible. So
Nice.
Speaking of that, how do you go about keeping that
Yeah.
as
Right.
straight as possible? Because I can't imagine running a string line a mile long.
I mean, you're typically not going to be running a string line that long. You're going to
Yeah.
have turns. You're going to have, it's going to be a thing where it's probably going to break every once in a while as far as the corner turn. For shorter runs, we run string line. Sometimes we'll run high tensile wire, uh, the same caliber as what the woven wire that we're putting up. We'll just run that, tie that off, and get it super tight, and that basically gets your straight line along there. And it's super. If it's super windy out, you can't use string line. You gotta
No.
you gotta use
No.
something that'll
Not at all. You
hold
would
a little
have
better.
to.
But
Yeah,
You'd have to
especially
we,
long.
we
mid-stick
spend
it
a lot
like
of time
every
trying to get
50
that stuff
foot.
straight.
Yeah. Especially that long of an area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Shit's
yeah.
moving all over the
Oh, yeah.
place.
In the past, we've tried to bring that line down to a certain point where you keep it straight over 1,000 foot, and it's so hard to do. But
It's almost hard to even keep a 500-foot line straight with
yeah,
a
yeah,
string line.
definitely.
It's
Yeah.
it just is what it is. I mean,
Shit, if it's windy enough, a 50-foot, start
yeah,
moving around on you.
you're not lying.
Honestly, there's a guy named Tony White from New Zealand, and we were up at the fence rivalry in Galax, Virginia, competing up there, and he came over from New Zealand, and that's one of the things I've struggled with, is trying to keep lines straight over hills, and when the string line won't stay straight. And we talked to him for probably 20-30 minutes about that, and he gave us some really good tips about how to level that out, bring it down, keep it straight. He's been in the business for decades, so that's really what it's all about, is finding somebody who's done it, perfected it, and figuring out what they've done, and just use that, and then go figure out a method for yourself off of that.
Nice.
Yeah. Any
Nice.
tips you got for anybody when it does come to that, especially with like over different terrain
Yeah.
grades and all that?
Yep, that big job up in Hendersonville that we did, we started taking one of our one of our fence posts was our string line was probably 6 foot above grade in some areas on a couple dips, and you just take a post and you take your level out there, level it up to the string line, and then bring that string line down to the bottom of that post and make sure it holds fast, and you can get a really decent line off of that.
Nice. Okay. Nice. So basically, kind of like how they do when they're laying out forms with rebar. They're like touching the string at the top, and then they drop it straight down.
Yep, pretty much.
Type thing.
I mean, you could do that too. You could use anything. We've just found that when you have a fence post handy, that's the best thing to use. So
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
Heck yeah. I completely forgot what I was about to say because I saw my son say "yo." My kid's watching.
What up, Silas?
But as far as it sounds like you have a pretty good local fence community where you're at, because you said that you've been talking to a couple guys and learning how to tie knots better. So talk about that a little bit. Let's hear about your relationship with your competitors, your local fence companies.
So those two guys that I told you that have been, helping me with the wire tying, we all work together. So that's the thing where, we'll just be on a job and I look at them and I'm like, look, guys, I need to practice, or, come over here, watch me tie this wire. And that's great. But you are correct. There is a very strong community in this area. There's a lot of great fencers down here. We know some from Georgia. We know some other ones that are down a little bit south of us, and everybody's of a mindset that it's, if somebody needs help, we'll help out. If somebody wants to talk on the phone and go over ideas, I've done that a lot with people. So just going back and forth. So yeah, there's a lot of great people in this area.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, is the agricultural side of things, is it very competitive? Do you ever see any like kind of cutthroatness, or is it generally all like everybody's looking out for each other and kind of keeping on the same page?
There's some of that. But that's one of those things where we kind of just push that to the side and we just go out. We bid our jobs the way we're going to bid them, and we put our quality on it. And I've always been a big proponent of, we're going to get the jobs that we're supposed to get, and they're going to get the jobs they're supposed to get. And I've gone back to jobs that I've bid and done repair work. I've gone back to jobs that I've bid that turned into an absolute nightmare for some people. So it's just one of those things where I'd say there's a couple people like that, but it's not too bad. So everybody's pretty friendly, pretty welcoming of other fencers in this area. Now that's the ag side. I have no clue about the residential side. I mean, I've been in South Carolina for about 15 months now, and I really haven't ran into too many residential fencers down here. So,
I mean,
because I haven't been looking, but
yeah,
there's that too. Yeah,
but I mean, everywhere is different. Like, I mean, like for instance, here, like there is one agricultural fence company where that's all they do.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's it. There is. Like, of course, there's a couple other major fence companies like Superior that like dabbles in ag fencing, but like there's only one Snyder Fencing around here that does nothing but ag fencing. So it's a little different here because, like I said, like I mean, yeah, there's a lot of farmland here, but there's not AG fence companies like you would think there is. Do
you think that's because a lot of those people in that area end up doing their own work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't see another reason because, I mean, like whenever you go and you Google things and you really find out, just like, okay, Snyder Fencing is just
that's it.
That's it.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just what they do. That's their bread and butter. And then, I mean, I see their signs all the time, like especially whenever we go camping, tubing, they're all up and down Munson Highway and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when you go over to the residential side, I mean, just in Pensacola alone, there's like 99 fence companies, and we live in a tri-city area. So there's
Milton, Pace,
Milton, there's Pensacola, there's Gulf Breeze. between those two, there's over 200 residential fence companies.
Gotcha.
And
it's a little bit more, I wouldn't quite say cutthroat, because you've got kind of two classes of it. You've got your, as we mentioned before, the chuck in the truck kind of thing, where it's like Billy Bob wants to go start a fence thing.
Hey man, don't say Billy Bob. My name's Billy.
Yeah, I know. I almost just said Billy.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, you're
buddy.
Billy.
Thanks, buddy.
You started a fence company. They all the Billies start somewhere. No, but you've got Joe Schmo who wants to start a fence company, and he may do it solo. He may do it with some buddies and picking up everything from Lowe's. And then you've got kind of the bigger players in the game.
Yeah.
And we all kind of help each other out, It's
Right.
like we called up another one of the local guys was like, hey, do you have a vinyl puller? Because we got to pull some fence for demo and replacing. Just what was it, yesterday actually?
It was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
I mean, Chris couldn't find it. Thank you, Chris, for looking, but
we appreciate you, buddy.
I mean,
but
it is what it is.
It's at the same time, it's like, hey, we could just call up the next guy over and just be like, hey, do you have this? Because we don't have it. We don't ever use that, But if you got one, like, let's borrow it. And he's like, yeah, I'll check right now. And then we would do the same kind of thing if they needed something. It's like, yeah, we got your back.
I mean, for instance, I remember Chris calling me and being like, hey man, I'm in a bind.
Yeah.
I need 5 gallons of stain, and I just saw y'all use the same color stain like last week. And I was like, you know what? There's an extra brand new 5-gallon bucket at the shop. I'll have the office lady put it out front for you and just throw me a 5-gallon bucket whenever you get time.
Yep.
And that's what happened. He came and picked it up, and he sent us a 5-gallon bucket of the same color. And
we've done the same for pickets too.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, we need a couple little big. Shipment's not going to be here till here, and we need another bunk, and don't want to go buy from Lowe's or anything.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, like, we all help each other out, if you will. And it's cool. I've even been on estimates where I'm doing an estimate and they're like, oh yeah, I just got a quote from these guys, whatever. It's like, hey, look, if you don't go with us, go with them over anyone else, because like they do good work. And they say the same thing about us. And like we've gone on estimates and they're like, yeah, like they're good. Like they're definitely good too. And there's no need to compete at that. So, but then you got the other guys that are not on the same page, because they're, trying to get somewhere with it and maybe not doing it the right way. I didn't know if it was kind of similar with the ag side or different,
No, it's definitely similar, and that's the only reason I even figured out that the type of post driver that I used was around. I was bidding a job that just was way out of my league, and this is back in Maryland. I actually called up the company that put in the fencing or the post at my house, and I was like, hey, I've got this job, and I think it'd be right up your alley. I'd love to give you guys most of the profit, and I'd like to just come and see how you guys operate. And I'll bring my tractor, I'll bring my post driver. We'll just, tag team it. And they were like, oh yeah, absolutely. They brought this driver out, and they were just flying. So we collaborated with that, and they showed me a ton of techniques, a ton of great ways to pound posts, how to lay out, how to just get things done fast. And even down this way, if same thing you were talking about with the stain and the pickets and stuff. There's a couple guys that it's like, hey, you got some brace pipe that we can buy off you. Do you have a roll of this? Do you have a roll of that? And yeah, it's definitely like that. So I think that that's the only way that you should do business is helping each other out.
Same.
For sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there is way too much fence to be installed for just one company to do it at the end of the day. So, that's how I look at it. And as long as somebody's using somebody reputable and I know is going to do a good job, like,
yeah,
you know what? It's not going to hurt my feelings because I might win the next one over this person.
Yeah. Or maybe your schedule's booked and you're like, hey, well, go with him.
Yeah.
Because he sent me the last one. It's one hand washes the other. And especially in business, you never want to be on anybody's bad side, because there's going to be one day that could come back and, bite you in the butt.
It could, and it usually does. So
yeah. Yeah.
So, you said that you went to a training event or a competition. Tell me a little bit because I like skim through some of the stuff whenever it gets posted on the fence pages about the ag fence stuff.
Yep.
Tell me about, is there like an AFA or a NAFCA for the ag side?
So I'm not exactly sure about the answer for that, but I know that there are definitely a lot of, like, they call them fence forums that happen.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely. Like the
the one
fall
that we
fence
went to was,
forum.
yep, yep. The one that we went to was hosted by Derek Cox Fencing up in Galax, Virginia. And basically what it was two parts. So there was a lot of vendors there. There was a lot of people demoing products. Like I mentioned, Tony White came over from New Zealand and he was showing some of his techniques for board fence, wire fence. Um, and that was actually there. There was two competitions. One was a hand competition. The other was a machine competition. And the hand competition was actually a qualifier for a fence competition in New Zealand. So David and I competed in that, and we did not score. Uh, we didn't score number one, but we finished first. We got the first fence built, and we were pretty proud about that. But our techniques were not quite how they wanted to see them. So we learned a lot. Tony White actually came over and just critiqued every little section of our fence, letting us know, what we did well, what we could work on. And I mean, that's the first fence I've put up by hand in probably 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So, but we had a lot of fun.
Right.
We were, and I say hand, we were allowed to use a gas auger for the post. We didn't have to dig the post by hand, but everything else, brace building, um, putting the wire up, everything was by hand. So it was fun.
Nice. Nice. And
But
I
yeah, they
love
do
that.
that one, and then Farm Fence Solutions does one out there, the Fall Fence Forum
Mhm.
that just happened a couple months ago, and
Yeah.
it's a great place to go. We weren't able to make the Fall Fence Forum, but there's just so many people there that have been doing fence longer than you, and if you just pay attention to how they talk and what they're talking about, you will learn something just being around them. And we
See,
definitely did.
and that's one of my favorite parts about going to the trainings is, you pick up quite a bit at the actual training event, but myself, I've always picked up more after hours whenever everybody goes
Yep.
out to the same restaurant and you're
Yep.
picking this one dude's brain that you saw at the training, you're like, that dude knows what's up. Like,
Yep.
let me go pick his brain for 30, 40 minutes. That's where I have found the most information of all the trainings. Like, yeah, cool.
Hmm.
Like the installation techniques are cool and like you see them, but like when you really get to sit down and talk with somebody who's been in the industry 4 or 5 times as long as you have.
You
Oh
really
yeah.
on stuff. You pick up stuff quick.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You like it's like a constant light bulb that's going off in your head. You're like, "Oh
Hmm.
my god, why didn't I think about this?" Or like, "Oh, wow, yeah. That's right. Like, great trick. Like, I would have never thought about that." But it just takes somebody who's been in it for their entire life to just pass that along. And, that's one of the things that I love about the fence industry is, whenever you find the people that are eager to give you the information, you just can just like soak it up like a sponge
Mhm.
Yep.
and take what you want to use out of it. Like we always say, find what works best for your system. You might not have to use every single pointer or tip that they've
Yep.
told you, but take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And I love that part of all of the trainings that I've been to. Like whether it be the like standing still training, whether it be the Mr. Fence trainings that like we've all been to. It's just getting out there and talking to multiple different people in multiple different cities, states that have all sorts of different experience than you will like get in your city or like hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, 100%. And I like I'm assuming they probably have them as well with yours, different training events. I personally have not been to one of the training events yet, but I know every time Billy has gone to one, it's like, oh, you guys got to check this out. Or
Yeah.
here's this one little thing that saves like 15 minutes per panel or whatever it may be. That's just like the stupidest thing, but it's so tiny, but it's like, oh my God. I know you popped in just to say hey to Sean King the other day, and you came back and you're like, dude, this is cheaper and quicker.
Oh
with
yeah,
the nails.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about the like concrete pin nailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I Corey was getting married, the day after, and it was his rehearsal that day. So we didn't work, but I was like, ooh, Sean's in town. He's training Chris's guys. So I text Sean the night before. I was like, hey, bud, you mind if I just ride by and like just say, hey, what's up? And he was like, no. Come on. You're more than welcome. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't want to like impede. Like, I know it's like a paid training or anything. Like, I don't want to come and like be there the whole time for free. He was like, no. Like, you can actually come and help out. So I went, and sure enough, like Chris had just hired like I want to say like 5 or 6 like 18 to 21-year-olds. And so like we had got there and they were setting out
young bucks.
Oh, young bucks, man. Young bucks.
No back problems yet.
No back problems yet. They could lift all them gas pounders up them 12-foot ladders. I was like, all right, y'all do all that. I'm gonna stay on the ground. But so I went there, and we run like a lot of the like Kings Plus. And we've been using self tappers to attach the boxes like to the pipe. And I had seen him using a concrete pin nailer, and I was like, I wonder about that. Like I wonder like how good it works. And sure enough, he sat there, he loaded up 3-inch nail through a shop, through the wood, through the Schedule 40 pipe, and I was like, well, I'll be damned. And then I went and I looked at the price, and I was like, okay, concrete pin nailer is $309.99. A box of 3-inch self tappers is $301.15. And I was like,
$8 more when we go buy
I was like, so whenever we run out of these self tappers, we are buying a concrete pin nailer. And not just that, like it got down to the pennies. Like I priced out the self tappers, and they're like 29 cents a piece. 29 or 30 cents a piece, versus the concrete pin nails were like 11 cents a piece. And I was like, so not just that, is it faster, it's also cheaper. So I was like, okay.
There's so many things like that if you're looking to improve, I mean, there's hundreds of things like that you could implement. And I think that's what sets somebody who's just doing it to get by, as opposed to someone who's trying to build a business and create a reputation of quality. That's really the difference, is that person's always looking to do something that's better and more efficient, cut costs, bring down the cost of a fence that is 10,000 foot,
Right.
So,
right.
But
and then for you, speaking of that same thing, like what was one of your biggest like aha moments? Like, oh shit, I could have been doing this way quicker, way easier, whatever it may be.
Using staple guns, nail guns, stuff like that on the fence line. Honestly, when I started out, I was hand nailing. I was putting staples in by hand, and that was like the first thing. I was like, oh man, I really got to find something. So my father-in-law actually bought me my first staple gun, a stockade staple gun. He's like, just pay me off when you can, and that saved, I mean, hours and hours and hours. But honestly, probably the biggest thing that has saved time is just learning how to post drive more efficiently. Just getting those things in the ground as fast as possible. That's huge. So,
right. Now I hear a lot of people in the AG world don't use levels. Is that something that's like pretty prevalent, or?
I honestly, I don't know. I can't speak for too many people. I use 11, but not the whole time. If I'm doing a run of 500 foot, 600 foot of board fence, I can go and I can get my first couple posts set, and I can make sure that they are level. And then I can pretty much run my whole line off of that because I sight all the way from one corner down to the next corner, or the next turn post or whatever. And if you just do that, if you get 2 or 3 posts level, you can just back sight off of that all the way down.
Right.
Now, as far as the post being, perpendicular or level to the ground, that's a debate in the ag world that a lot of people have, and I've definitely started to kind of roll with the terrain a little bit. I don't have it perfectly level on a hill anymore. I'll kind of push it more towards perpendicular, but I'm definitely always checking that. When I'm on level ground, I'm always checking side to side and up and down the fence line to make sure it looks good. So I use a level. Some people don't, but I find that it's very helpful.
So in the residential world, there's no use for sightmen. How is that process? Is this a 2-man process, a 3-man process? Is this a 1-man process whenever you're setting posts? Like,
yeah, it's 1 man.
Okay.
I can run back and forth to different posts, look up and down. If I'm trying to flow the posts on uneven terrain, I'll get a couple of them set to height, and then a lot of times I can just back sight and I can kind of see where I need that post to go. But then I'll run down the fence line and I'll do a couple posts, get every 3rd or 4th post to set the height, and then I can just run back and up or back and forth and pound some down to match the grade, and it looks pretty good. So
nice.
But as far as back sighting your posts and making sure everything looks good, it's a 1-man operation the whole time.
So. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, because whenever we're sighting stuff in, we're only doing like heights and ins and outs whenever we're doing that stuff. So, all of the posts already in the ground, whether it's like dig and set or if they're driven.
Yeah.
So we're only looking for peaks and valleys and the rails at that point.
Yeah.
So making sure it's an even flow, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
So a nice flow. So talk to me about getting into the residential side. Is that still a game plan for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's long term, and honestly, the thing that's kept me from doing it this far is just investing more at this point. When we have a lot of jobs on the books that we got to get done at this point. So it's one of those things. A little bit of fear mixed in with it. There's it's one of those things. I'm gonna have to figure out a lot of stuff and get good at it so that I can make sure I'm not charging something or somebody for a product that's not going to be outstanding. So
right.
But that's definitely something we want to get into.
Right. And what kind of residential fence is prevalent in your area?
There's a lot of aluminum.
Okay.
A lot of like vinyl privacy. Chain link. The chain link is a big one in this area. So
Okay.
I'd say those are probably the top 3.
Okay. So vinyl, like aluminum, and chain link, and you can luckily drive all 3 of those.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish we had vinyl and aluminum being our prevalent here.
Oh, God,
those are so quick.
Yeah, we would
like Legos.
We would kill it, especially with aluminum. Like aluminum, man, we would fly through it.
Yeah, I mean there is a fair amount of wood privacy as well, but I mean the newer neighborhoods that are going up, there's a ton of neighborhoods in the Greenville area, Woodruff area, Simpsonville, South Carolina. There's just so many neighborhoods going up, and they're all moving towards vinyl, aluminum, stuff like that. So,
yeah, nice. I mean they generally
it would be a good thing to get into.
Yeah, and most companies that do vinyl and aluminum, like product wise, have that lifetime warranty on the product itself. So that definitely comes into play that it's a lot better quality than wood.
Takes all the liability out of your hand.
Exactly.
Like, oh hey, the manufacturer provides the warranty, not me. Like I'll provide you a workmanship warranty, but if something goes wrong with this product, you don't call me.
Yeah, and I've never seen a aluminum or vinyl just warp on its own either.
Yeah, so that's also like the really cool part about that is like like you're almost a third party at that point. Like you're like, hey, I just installed it. If there's something wrong with my install, I'll come and fix it. But if your product is failing due to a manufacturer thing, you have to call the manufacturer. And so that's kind of the one thing. But man, so what is are y'all have the same slow and busy season as everybody else? Are y'all slowing down in the winter time, or is it just balls to the wall all the time?
We are wide open right now.
Nice.
We have, like I said, we've got enough work for months at this point. And that's kind of, we're trying to figure out some ways that we could possibly add some more people to the crew or split up or whatever. That's an ongoing talk, but that's one of those things where you got to make sure that your quality stays the same. So we're trying to figure that out. But the four of us, honestly, we got a bang up crew. We do great work. We love working with each other, and we can definitely knock some fence out. So, I'm definitely not worried about getting to all the work right now. We're gonna get it done. But as far as moving towards residential or having multiple crews, that's definitely something we want to do. But we're kind of trying to let it happen organically, so that we don't get overrun with stressful situations.
Right. So as far as your advertising, is it word of mouth, or you blasting Facebook? You doing Google ads?
So it's all Facebook and word of mouth at this point. Every once in a while, I'll put up some posts, and we try to go towards we try to target horse areas, Aiken, Hendersonville, anywhere that's going to have a lot of horse clients. That's really where we're trying to get. That's kind of what we lean towards. But as far as basically word of mouth at this point. So
nice. That's awesome, man.
These all sound like good problems to have.
Yeah, right.
Booked up forever. We may have to get another crew, like all word of mouth. We don't have to spend money on advertising. These sound like some damn good problems you got there.
And just a little. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's we've been blessed as far as work. We were subbing up until I moved down here last year, and I started subbing for a guy, and we subbed for him up until about I think the beginning of March, and just things didn't go as we had planned. And the day we got done doing jobs with him, it was like, all right, well, let's go figure out our own stuff. And I think we took 4 days off. We got our first job within those 4 days, and we haven't stopped working since then. So
that's awesome, man.
Nice. Yeah. Congrats on that, man.
That's really awesome.
That hard work paying off, definitely.
Yeah.
And it goes to show when you do, like, just within the last 45 minutes of talking with you, it's like you can definitely tell it's like we care about our product, we care about our quality, and that goes to show is when you do care about what you're doing and you're doing it for the longevity, for the long run, you definitely see that in the results. When it's like, I'm booked up until here, it's like, because you're doing everything the right way. And that's back to the previous conversations. When you're doing it the right way, it definitely has a good outcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'd say the two biggest things are, as far as getting a good reputation, is going to be answer your phone when when someone calls you, answer your phone and say what you mean what you say. Make sure that you're showing up for appointments, make sure you're communicating. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, if you do screw up, if we've had it where one of our braces, that we built, it didn't fail, but it did not look good. And they called us and they said, hey, this is kind of an issue, and you go and fix it. You say, we got it. That's on us. We're providing the material. We're there. So
absolutely,
definitely own it, because it'll come back and bite you in the ass one day.
So will
if you don't.
Speaking
of that, so Billy and I have had a little thing where we have different not necessarily mistakes, but just different difficulties that we face on fences. Like we had one yard where there's gardens lining the entire perimeter and you can't get any machinery in there. We have to pull everything out. And then at one point there's like 5 posts, previous concrete slugs from posts in the corner. And it's like, we have this little saying that we got is if I had a
if I had a big enough torch, I'd burn this motherfucker down.
Exactly. If I had a big enough torch, I'd burn this motherfucker down.
Yeah.
What's been one of those moments for you where it's just like, because I can imagine you probably get a significant amount of that doing such large fences.
Yeah.
What's been one of your worst, like, Jesus, this is like a nightmare, but then like, how did you also overcome that when it comes to that?
Well, there's been a couple situations. One thing back in Maryland was I used to use an extreme driver. That was one of the self-propelled units that, basically 2-wheel drive like a zero turn. And I bid a job and it was in an area where I could not get that thing. It would not go. And that's one of those times you're like, man, I quoted this for pounding all these posts or most of them. And I sat there, the job probably, that section should have taken me probably 2 hours to do. And I sat there for 2 days digging posts, making sure that everything got in where it needed to go. The fence went where they wanted it. And, that one up in Hendersonville, we just did, a lot of rock on that one. And that was something that we really haven't dealt with yet. But, it was one of those things you just sit there and you say, okay, we're going to take our time. We're going to make sure that these fence lines look good. If we got to dig rock out, we got to dig rock out. You just take your time. You guys can probably attest to the fact that there's jobs where you think it's going to take a day. And that third day that you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? But
yeah, the one day bangers that turn into an entire week jobs. Of tearing out roots and different things that are all in the way. So with your situation, do you guys have problems with roots with your drivers? Or I know you said rocks. Is there anything like kind of obstacles that really make you have to stop, take a step back, and figure out a new solution?
Yeah, roots definitely can be an issue with my driver at times. If it's too big of a root, it's not going to go through it. We've come up with some different techniques to kind of use some different types of pipes that are about the same size as the posts that we're pounding, and we'll just kind of bust through that root with that, create a hole through it, and pull that back out and put a post through it. Hasn't happened too often though. I'd say maybe 1% of jobs there's an issue. And pretty much other than that, if it's if the ground's pretty good, we're getting those posts in. We might have to shift one a foot or foot and a half this way or that way, but it's all pretty much going in. So
okay. So as far as rocks, like whenever you run into a rock and you have to like dig it out, what's your process with that? Because whenever we run into stuff like that, our process is to just fill the void with concrete.
Yeah. As far as that goes, like I said, we've only run into it really on one job so far. Pretty much everything down here. You're dealing with that Carolina clay. It's tough at times. It gets dry towards the end of the year. That's what we're dealing with right now. But as far as rock goes, what we have done is we've tried to just shift the fence line. Like we use a pressure washer on some jobs just to give us a little bit of moisture in the ground so we can get that post in there. So we'll kind of go along, and if we got a really long fence line and we can kind of see there's some rocks sticking up there, over there, or whatever, we'll go along and test pilot and see where we can actually put the holes before we put them. There was one we couldn't avoid it, and we actually got a jackhammer and just blasted right through it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's all pretty much that was all, on the go. There are a lot of expensive rock drills that you can get.
Absolutely.
You can put them on your loader and you can go through, but we just didn't have access to that. So we just did what we could do in the moment. But like I said, that's really the only job we've had an issue with rock on at this point. So
Okay.
So you said run like, test pilot for the holes of where you're going to put them at. What do you use for testing it out?
we just use like a 40-inch pressure washer wand. And we just on hard ground, we'll just take that wand, and wherever that post is going to go, we send it down into the ground. Just make just a hole with the pressure washer, pull it back out, and you can basically pound the post right on top of that hole. It just puts enough moisture in the ground and creates enough of a void that the dirt can move.
That's actually pretty smart.
That's pretty damn smart.
I like that. I like that quite a bit.
I would have never ever thought of that.
Neither would I.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Just to see the major differences between like the ag world and the residential world. It's like
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a whole different
man. This has been a fun conversation because I'm over here
the pressure washer thing is just like, wait a second, that's so stupidly easy.
Yeah, so like you're basically like hydrovacing.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the residential world, like you're basically using a hydrovac without vacuuming it out. You're just
And I mean the difference is enormous on how quickly you can get that post in the ground. I mean, you have to get a whole setup for it. You got to get a decent pressure washer. You got to have a 200-gallon tank that you can throw on the back of a truck and get that all set up. But once you get rolling, you can pressure wash a hole in 20 seconds. And as long as you have somebody going ahead of you on your fence line, I mean, it's the difference between a post taking 5 minutes and 40 seconds or 30 seconds. So it really, if you can get that system going, you can get a lot of posts in the ground in a day, even in hard ground conditions.
I'm interested in trying this out in the back of the shop. Like, we would just put a random post in just to like pressure wash a hole to see kind of how it all goes.
Find a supplier to even get round posts here. Like,
well, I'm just saying, like, for the metal post to see how it would, if it may help out.
I think it's I think it's so different because they're hollow inside and it just goes straight up there. I mean, dude, you've seen it when we drive in the wrong spot. We gotta take a dead blow and knock all the dirt out, because if you don't, it'll just start coming out of the top.
It's a nightmare that it goes into the machine,
into the driver. It's spitting out mud all over the place, and you're like, oh shit. That one ain't going down no farther until I clean that pipe out.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare sometimes when it does come to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened a couple times. It's happened a good couple times for me.
Yeah.
That's
one of those, get your anger out. Just beat the shit out of it with a deadbolt hammer.
Yeah. Just keep beating the shit out of it and twist, beat, and it'll slowly but surely all the dirt will come out.
Starts falling out finally.
Yeah.
You don't really have that with the solid post.
No.
Not at all.
Nah, not so much.
But hey, man, we very much appreciate you coming on. And if you want to go ahead and drop all your socials, I know they're right there as well, but just go ahead and just let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, Instagram is just two of them, Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's at Cordrey Fencing. Facebook's just Cordrey Fencing. You can find us on either of those. And we try to put some of our work up there every once in a while. I actually just bought a drone, so I'm learning how to fly that. I've got one video up so far, but that's kind of, we got a quote for one drone video, and I said, ooh, nope, I'm gonna go ahead and buy one and learn how to fly that thing. So
once you get that, I have a drone. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. Our biggest issue with it is I don't have commercial license.
Well, we also
107 license, and we also live military bases and airports.
Yeah,
and everything
for sure.
Us.
There's military bases. There's like 5 different airports around us, with one being a major one, and the rest are all ag airports. But we can't even fly. What is it, 30 miles?
It's something
30-40 miles around an airport. We can't even fly around. So like most of the jobs that we go to, we're like, check the drone. No,
I just stopped bringing it because I haven't been able to use it.
We can't even get it up in the air,
because like most of them, it's like I could fly, but I need the commercial. I think it's like a 107 pilot.
Yeah, it's the 107.
Like for commercial drone use. Because I went and got a DJI and then found out after spending like a stupid amount of money on their Mavic Pro. With the fly more and all the extra batteries and filter, like, everything. And then realize, like, when I moved here, because I could use it before I moved up here, but when I moved here, there's so many things with the military bases and everything else. I'm like, well, I can't fly this shit anywhere.
No,
like, this sucks.
No. We were even like 2 miles, 3 miles in the woods, and he was like, "Oh, we can absolutely fly this thing here." And he pulled up the app, and he was like, "No, there's literally a landing field,
like a little
a
private
mile
airport
away.
landing field." Yeah, and it's not even like usable. It's like they use it for crops, but it's registered as a landing, like, strip because I guess the owner of that property has like a little private plane thing or something. I don't know, man. But I was so mad about that. I was like, I can finally use it. Yes. I went and charged all the batteries up the day before, got it all ready. I'm like, yeah. Nope. Not at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you about all of this. And you guys go to Cordrey Fencing on Instagram and on Facebook. They're right there down below.
Indeed. And for those of you listening, that is Cordrey fencing, all one word for Instagram, and Facebook, Cordrey space FENCING. We all know how to spell fencing, but gonna spell it out for listeners at home. Cordrey Fencing. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Definitely check him out.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate you guys having me on. I look forward to coming down at some point and doing some residential fencing with you guys.
Oh no, most definitely.
Dude, whenever you're ready, come on down, brother. I mean, we will put you to work, and I'll show you how to do some residential. Some some vinyl. We'll do some wood fence. That is primarily our bread and butter is wood fence. So I mean, we'll show you the ropes, man. And then you got the beach 20 minutes away. The world's whitest sands. So it's
pretty chill, man.
It's pretty chill, man. Just let us know whenever you're ready, and bro, you got a spot open.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, you have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you later. All right.
Sounds good. You too.
All right, man.
Take it easy.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Indeed, man.
I enjoyed that one.
That's been a whole.
I really
a little learning experience for me because
same here.
Our agriculture side has been, very minuscule.
Blended on, and it's
a couple goat wire,
mainly goat wire.
Things. That's
all
it.
Goat wire.
That's about it.
We don't get the chance to bid horse farms. I mean, we've done some 3-rail horse fence, but at the end of the
generally
day,
are like
not
usual go-to
or anything like that.
Oh, he's off.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so that was quite a fun interview, man.
That was definitely a fun one. I learned a lot.
I did too.
Yeah. Definitely, guys. Again, I'm gonna put that back up there real quick. For everybody.
Go ahead and give them a follow. It's all right down there.
Be like, yo, I saw you on Gate-Keepers Podcast. Take cowboy hat. I got a little beanie.
And then, as always, guys, please go give us a like, share, subscribe, hit that little notification bell. So that way whenever we go live, and everything helps. If you guys are watching live, feel free to leave comments. Tell us you're here. Say, hey, what's going on? I know my kids. There's my kid right now.
Yeah.
Here, put that.
Leave in a comment right there.
Put that up. That's my kid right there. Sigh better than you. Good podcast, guys. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I'll see you here shortly whenever I get home. Yeah. But with that said, Dan, take us out.
Hey, man, if you need anything, gatekeeperpodcast.com. And for everything else, build them strong, build them sturdy, build them straight, and y'all have a wonderful day.